It was the runaway winner from, I think they had 10 choices. And it's from, like I said, it's the Association of National Advertisers. By the way, worst website in the history of the internet. I couldn't find the other
ironic.
9. Yeah, I couldn't find the other 9 choices. Kirby from Coshocton is a happy, jolly soul. And that's how we're going to go ahead and kick off episode number 180 of the Promo UPFront podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, let's call him the president of Peach Fuzz himself, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, man. And yeah, I try to be a happy, jolly soul. So I think that's fairly accurate. So appreciate being serenaded as always.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. We were doing kind of 2 podcasts in 1 week. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we are knee deep in the middle of the season. And, you know, I've worked a bunch on some of the proactive stuff that we talked about a couple podcasts ago. And
Yeah.
you know, there's just some level of dopamine rush when you complete one of those projects. And I did one like last night at like 8:30, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm doing pretty
That's
good,
awesome.
buddy. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You know, getting better, feeling better. Feel better than I have actually in months. So
That's awesome.
that's a good thing. But you know, it got me to thinking, as
Yeah,
things often do.
they
You
do.
know, there's one supplier in the promotional products industry that really gets it when it comes to a couple things. One, amazing and high quality merchandise that really truly becomes part of your everyday life. A forward-thinking approach to manufacturing and packaging, and a mindset of making the lives of their distributor partners easier. Now, you know who I'm talking about, don't you, Kirby?
I do. Of course, that's got to be Evans, right?
That's right, Kirby. You know, but there's one more thing
Mm.
that's super critical to remember about Evans. And it's the fact that even though they're part of the HPG family of companies, they are still Evans. In
Mm.
fact, they have a mantra that really continues to guide them as 2024 approaches, and I love it. It's just, we are Evans. What does that mean? Kirby, I'm glad you silently asked. It means that Evans has remained continuously focused on removing friction from the ordering process. It means Evans fosters open communication both internally and externally. It means Evans continues their exacting approach to merchandising high quality products that enhance a brand story. And it means Evans has not only maintained, but enhanced their fastidious approach to making the lives of their distributor partners easier. And Kirby, I'm sure you love the We Are Evans approach.
I do, and I think it's so. First of all, I love it when you use the word fastidious. That's amazing. But also, you know, I think that whenever there's mergers like this, you want, like, as a distributor, as a customer, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what's this going to mean? And so the idea of, hey, we are operating. If anything, we're going to be better, but we're going to be the same kind of detail oriented, making it easy company. I sort of love that approach. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kirby. I think we all honestly would love to be part of Evans, and we can do that. We can actually all do that by visiting them at evans-mfg.com. You know what, Kirby? We are Evans. All right. So let's move into the first topic I have up front this week, and I've been champing. Is it chomping or champing?
I think
never
it's
get that right.
chomping. Yeah, chomping.
I think it's champing. We'll circle back on that. I'm giddy as a Girl Scout on Cookie Sunday to talk about this topic. Kirby, it's time to discuss the Pantone Color of the Year. It has been revealed.
Yep.
It is none other than what I called you, the president of Peach Fuzz. It is Peach Fuzz. Now, I always love how they wax poetic about the color over there at the Pantone Institute of Color Technology for People and Animals. Here's what they had to say. It captures our desire to nurture ourselves and others. It's a velvety, gentle peach tone whose all-embracing spirit enriches mind, body, and soul. Kirby, what's your take on this?
First take is really, you should do more voiceover work. That was impressive. I think it's funny how at least I've evolved on this over the years of us doing this podcast. For years, I think you would agree that you brought this up sort of like this is stupid and who do they think they are? And I think you've evolved a little bit like I have. And every year I think this is it's not interesting enough for me to spend a ton of time worrying about it, but I do think that enough people in the design world do that it really does affect the sort of colors moving forward. And I love that they've owned it, just like we've talked about it. Once you create the list, you own the list. And I love
Right.
that. And honestly, it has affected me in a way where I'm like, I start looking for things and going, okay, so I understand when colors are on trend a little bit more. And that's not something I used to understand or care about. And so I dig it. I think the peach fuzz I think it is definitely enriched my mind, body, and soul.
Well, nothing could make me happier than hearing that. Um, I'm not sure I've evolved as much as you have. I mean, look,
Okay.
and that's not just in this
Which by the
topic,
way
by
is
the way.
totally true. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, that's not just this topic. That's an overarching statement that I'm not as evolved as you. Here's the thing. I don't mind. I think Pantone absolutely has the credibility to pick a color trend for the coming year. They absolutely are the governing body of that, right? I
Yep.
usually make the joke when we go to Vegas, best burger in Vegas. You see
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
signs
Yeah.
in the airports. I'm like, who's the governing body? Who decides that? Well, I think Pantone has the credibility and juice to do that.
Yep.
I always though think how it's so weird how they justify it with the whole, the
Sure.
voiceover I did. It's a little much for me, but I have to say, for the first time in 675 years, I approve of the color. I think it's a good color. I
Okay.
agree that it's the correct color of the year. So,
Okay.
uh, good job, Pantone. But hey, lighten up on the marketing fluff when it comes to it.
Yeah, they have to write a blog. They need SEO. They need to. I don't mind. I mean, I'm not going to read it, but I understand why they put some time in behind it. So
Someone put a lot of time in it. Hey, Kirby, I know you're starting to plan for the hustle and bustle of 2024, even as we
yes, I am.
wind down 2023. And the first thing on your list is probably what booths you're going to see in January.
Oh, totally.
Well,
Can't wait.
here's one you gotta stop by, and that is Canada. They're going to be at
Mm.
ASI Orlando. That's booth 1630 if you're going to be in Orlando.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
And they're going to be also at PPAI Expo. That's 1558. So Orlando's booth 1630, PPAI Expo booth 1558.
Mhm.
And you can see their amazing line of towels, their blankets, their footwear, and even sublimated products. There's going to be a whole array of merchandise you can see and really help you grow in 2024. And of course, you can always visit them at canadapromo.com. All right, Kirby, do you have a topic for us?
Yeah, this is one. I don't know if we'll spend a ton of time on it, but I really want your advice on something. You know that content creation is something that not only are we committed to, but I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so as I've been looking at 2024 and the different
Yeah.
types of content that I'm creating, I've
Yeah.
decided that I want to sort of narrow my focus a little bit, not in the
Okay.
amount of content I'm going to create, but the places I'm going, like the areas in which I'm going to create content around.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is the topics of which I think that I can be an
Okay.
expert in. All
Okay.
right. And so I've narrowed it down to three.
Okay.
So it's marketing and merch,
Mm-hmm.
which I put together, right? And then
Yeah.
personal development, because that's kind of a
Okay.
passion of mine, and
Mm-hmm.
Coshocton.
Okay.
And so I've kind of decided that if it isn't in one of those three, not that I'll never do anything with it, but on a
Right.
regular monthly, weekly basis, I'm like, oh, I want to do a video about such and such. And if it's outside of that, it has to be like a complete passion project or something like that. I'm trying to limit my focus on what I want to
Yeah.
do. What do you think
Yeah.
of that?
Um, I think that's natural, and I think that's smart. A couple. The first thing I thought of, as you're saying, okay, basically, I'm narrowing my focus here.
Right.
Is I thought of the whole 10,000 hours thing, right? To
Mm-hmm.
become an expert at anything, you have to, the rule of thumb is you have 10,000 hours of
Mhm.
practice
Yep.
or dedication to it. And I think that's how you get there, is you narrow your focus,
Mm.
right? Yeah, for every Paul McCartney who can play every instrument like a virtuoso, you have a lot of people who just need to spend time on the bass or on the guitar or on the drums. And,
Mm.
and I think that's what you're basically saying, is I've got to focus on these three things so that the content I develop improves, that it's better,
Yeah.
that it becomes more impactful, that it helps more people, that it reaches more people. So, again, like I said, the first thing I thought about was that whole 10,000 hours thing, and I think it's a impressive way to approach it. Now, the question I do have is, so what are you not going to focus on? So, I
Yeah.
assume you, as you thought about this, you had some buckets. So, what are you not focusing on?
So one of the things I did a ton of there, if you look at my history, is a lot of travel vlogs. Um,
Hmm.
I like doing those, so we'll see when I go on trips because I love
Yeah.
shooting stuff. That I may
Yeah.
wander outside, but that's one I'll do less of for sure. But
Right.
honestly, more of the more. It's so personal development is something that comes very naturally to me. I'll tell you the place I haven't produced enough content is on the marketing and merch side, I think.
Hmm.
So it's really
Hmm.
more about like, okay, when I'm coming up with topics, and this is really how it's
Yeah.
affected me, I guess. So as I
Right.
start coming up with topics, I'm doing this like DMJ 101 thing that I've
Hmm.
just begun. I'm like, normally I'd skew toward personal development and goals and stuff like
Right.
that. I'm like,
Right.
no, I'm pushing myself to come back and go, no, let's talk about trade shows. Let's talk about mistakes people are making in branded merch. But let's talk about those sort of things. And so really that's what it's, does that make sense?
Mm.
It's kind of skewed. I'm like, no, I'm
Yeah, and
forcing myself down a road.
yeah, and so as you're talking, I'm also thinking, you may want to even go a step further, if I
Okay. Yeah.
may.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
And
asking.
since I'm being blindsided with this, you may say, okay, so a lot of the content, let's talk about just the promotional products industry. You produce content that are end user specific or end user friendly,
Yes.
well, both, and then you
Yep.
produce content that's focused on the promotional products industry. Are you going to narrow your focus where
Mm.
I'm going to focus more on the promotional products industry, or no, I'm going to focus on people who
Yep.
buy promotional merchandise,
I
or as you would
love that
say,
question.
merch.
Yeah, I love that question. So the marketing and merch concept is I'm going to focus on the end user. Now, my thought is that serves both audiences because then like Shannon Walsh Laredo could still share it, or Javi could share it, or
Right.
what, like,
Right.
because it will be end user friendly, but it will be instructive to that audience. And so, but yeah, it is. The concept is, as you look at the stuff I'm doing, it's going to be much more
Right.
focused on here's mistakes that people are making when they're doing branded merch. Well,
Right.
a distributor might not need that, but they might be able to look at it and go, oh, well, such
Right.
and such client needs it. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah. Okay. No, it makes sense. I think it'll be interesting to see how it works for you and how you feel it's
Yeah,
working for you. And I'm sure you're putting metrics in place to kind of, okay, now, there's always the feel good component. How
yeah,
does this feel? What
right.
I'm doing feel like the right activities? Is it generating the activity I want and the results I want? So I'll be interested to see.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
But the challenge
Yeah,
with
it's
it
good
is it's
stuff.
always a long-term play. You know what I mean? Like
It always
yeah,
is.
yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, we'll revisit this in June and see how you're doing. I'll
Okay,
make
I
I'll
like
make a
it.
note of it.
I like
Yeah.
it. All right.
All right. So yeah, we've been joking about this for a while, and we have two podcasts to do this week, and I'm playing catch up from being in intensive care last week. But we're not going to get to the 2024 business trend predictions today because thankfully something else caught my eye. So
Okay, cool.
one more week for those 2024 business trend predictions.
Okay.
I know everybody's excited about it.
Yeah,
Kirby, do you know what was voted the marketing word of the year by the Association of National Advertisers?
I do not. I didn't see this.
All right. So the marketing word of the year, drum roll please, is AI. It
I'll be
was the
damned. Okay.
runaway, it was the runaway winner from I think they had 10 choices. And it's fun, like I said, it's the Association of National Advertisers. By the way, worst website in the history of the internet. I
That's,
couldn't
I
find the
love
other
it.
nine. Yeah, I couldn't find the other nine choices because I kind of wanted to go because I thought, machine learning might be one of them and
Yeah.
something like that. Couldn't find them.
Okay. Awesome.
Um, so they'd said there's never been a winner by such a wide margin.
Which is, yeah, it makes sense. That's what I would have guessed,
And I,
honestly.
well, and I all I thought of was like, what else could it have been?
Yeah.
Um, and so when I see something like this, so it got 70% of the vote. And I'm, AI is absolutely a marketing buzzword, very much like in the food world, organic is, or
Right.
things like that. And I'm like, I've been so over the term AI for so long. I tune it out.
Mm.
Um, I have really started tuning it out, and I
You're
think
not
we're
going to
gonna
like my next
see.
topic.
Oh, well, good. I look forward to shitting on it. I think we're about to see a backlash against the incorrect use of AI. There's correct marketing usage of artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
but I am so tired, and I see it in our industry too. This is AI. It's not AI. Most of it's not artificial intelligence, but I just thought it was an interesting thing that it's the marketing word of the year, but I think it's got a high peak and it's going to have a fast burnout. That's an opinion. So
Yeah.
Kirby, what say you? And if this leads right into your next topic, so be it.
Yeah, I think as you said it, it's so funny. What I didn't want to have is like we were to say the word together and screw it up like we did
Yeah.
authenticity,
If
tick.
it's an
Yeah.
authenticity. Yeah.
Because I was like, well, it's got to be artificial intelligence, got to be AI
Yeah.
for that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the idea that that is the thing, I think it makes sense because everyone is rightfully looking at it, but also trying to
Yeah.
figure out ways to utilize it in a smart way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that makes sense for it to be the term of the year. And so yeah, I am going to lead
Yeah. Oh
into,
yeah,
if
it
it's
does.
okay, to my
Yeah.
next,
Lean in. Let's
because
go.
my next story was the New York Times
Mm-hmm.
hires an AI editorial
Mm-hmm.
director.
Okay.
So the New York Times has added a new job title to its newsroom, and
Okay.
the Quartz co-founder Zach Seward has been named the newspaper's editorial director of artificial intelligence initiatives, amid
Mm-hmm.
exploration by many news organizations that are trying to use it and trying to figure out how to use it. And they said he will establish principles around the use of AI. And as we know, it comes amid the controversy of some publications that are generating
Yeah.
AI that has resulted in crappy content. So
Right.
the New York Times hiring an AI editorial director, I got to be honest, I think is really interesting, and I think it's really smart. But I wanted to
I
know
think
what
it's
you thought.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
brilliant. We've got to Ted Lasso this, right? We've got to get a lasso around this and control it a little bit because again, it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. AI as a marketing term is being applied to a million things, what it's not really artificial intelligence. And we talked, I think, 2 weeks ago about Sports Illustrated
yeah, it's
actually
terrible. Yeah.
fabricating story using AI and fabricating even writers and bios
Yeah.
using artificial intelligence. And there's a bloodbath over SI, which used to be a respected news organization. Now it's a joke because
Yeah.
and largely into part of this. So I think having someone it's about time we
Yeah.
start thinking about this.
Right.
It's
I
about
agree.
damn time. And not to say that this person who is the AI editorial director is the right person in
That's
to, but we got to start somewhere. And if we don't start trying to interpret, understand, and manage AI, it is going to get out of control. And honestly, I think a lot of those horses are already out of the barn anyway.
yeah.
But I love the effort. I think it's brilliant. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good. And I think at the end of the day, what you said really struck me is that you said it's about damn time. It is funny to me that
Yeah,
this is the first organization I'm hearing of doing this. Now, maybe
yeah,
other organizations have that are smaller. New York Times
right,
really big, but
right.
yeah, being intentional about utilizing AI is a no-brainer. Of course,
Yeah,
like we're not big enough to have this, but we're having this
no,
conversation in our office all the time around what is
right,
okay to utilize it for. And so one of the things when
yeah,
he said we're going to establish principles around the technology, awesome. Like
yeah,
what should a reporter be able to utilize it for, and
right,
how should you be transparent when you do? Like
right.
and be honest. It's like be authenticity. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
like if you do those things, then I think it's of course you should be utilizing AI. But I love the idea that they're
Well,
hiring somebody, so I think
well,
it's
a
cool.
lot of a lot of people are going to criticize, well, this person's biased and they're going to use their own bias to interpret AI, and that's going to
Of
be accurate
course.
because we're all biased on some
Yeah.
level. So, but we have to start somewhere. We have to make an
Yeah.
effort, and I think it's a great idea. All right, Kirby. Speaking of making an effort, I am making an effort to catch you in our PPEF picks for fun. So last week we both went 2-2. We had
Mhm.
a couple rough weeks leading up to that. Right
Mhm.
now we have 2 weeks to go. This week and next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Overall, Kirby is 50-26. I am 48-28. So we are dubbing this week Low Rent Bowl Week. We've got 3 low rent college football games to pick and 3 pro games to pick. I'm sure Kirby is going to be very upset with the bowl games I picked and saying he has no idea about any of the college teams playing, but he had these yesterday, and I'm sure he spent, that whole project he was talking about that he finished at 8:30 last night was probably charting these games.
No, it's great. Actually, I'm excited because as the NCAA has taught us, the games don't matter anymore. So I've already announced myself the winner, and I will be national champion. I've already made the
Is
donation to PPF, so
is
it's fine.
is that is that a Florida State thing? Should have been in the playoffs? Do you think Florida State should have been in the playoffs?
Of course, they should have been in the playoffs. Like
Absolutely not.
this is the dumbest. Like then don't play the game. Don't play the game ever. It doesn't count
I'm kidding.
anymore. It
No,
doesn't
I'm
count
I'm
because like
well,
and the idea that there should have been 8 or 12 teams from the beginning, and this is the first year that the top 8 teams, all
yeah.
of them could have beat one another at some point. It's the idea that they're a Power Five top, undefeated team. Like, you're like, oh, SEC's
This
better. Okay, cool. They beat the SEC when they
no, I
played.
look, I'm
Look.
this is this was going to happen because the way that the dumb playoff
Mhm.
selection committee, they made
Yep.
it clear we're going to pick the best, what we think the best things are. Records didn't matter. So I agree with you that
Yeah. Games
yeah.
don't matter. And here's the thing. Like again, I'm not a Florida State fan. I don't care. Like I mean I care because
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
inherently, but the idea that this could happen to Texas A&M is like
Oh, it
that's
could happen to anybody.
absurd to me. So
Well,
anyway,
Texas A&M would have to have a really good winning record for that to happen. So let's not get carried away. All right, Kirby, let's start off with the Avocados from Mexico Bowl. We've got Miami of Ohio versus Appalachian State. Who do you
yeah.
got?
So as I literally looked at the teams that you sent me like 2 minutes before we hopped on here today. So
Yeah.
I'm basing this on I'm voting with my heart, not my head, because I
Yep.
don't know. So who they play? Appalachian State is playing Miami, right? Is that what you said?
Miami of Ohio,
Yeah.
Appalachian State.
Yeah. So I have visited Miami of Ohio. They are in Ohio. I'm going with Ohio, Miami.
Okay, I am going with Appalachian State. Georgia Southern
Yeah.
versus Ohio
Mhm.
in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Boy, you talk about the granddaddy of them all.
Well, it's appropriately named. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going with the Bobcats. OU all the way, man.
Okay. Yeah, and it's appropriately named because that's the sound. The sound of crickets is really what you're
Yep,
going to hear when they play.
exactly.
I'm going with Georgia Southern. Good. I tried to pick teams I thought you wouldn't pick, so we're
Yep.
doing good so far.
Okay.
All right. And the storied tradition of the Starco Brands LA Bowl continues as
Oh yeah.
UCLA takes on Boise State.
Yeah, yeah. I do give you credit. These are all the Who Cares Bowl.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going. I don't know. I'm thinking Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins will win this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with the UCLA Bruins. They got better uniforms, and it's basically a home game for them. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
with you there.
Yeah. Didn't even know
All
that.
right.
But
So these are games. Now we're going to the NFL. That's the National Football League, for those of you not familiar. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 games, not against the spread. We're just going
yep.
to pick 3 games, winner or loser. It doesn't really matter. These are games with really big playoff implications, Kirby.
Tough games. Yeah.
These are tough games. We've got the Denver, I believe they're called the Broncos, heading into Detroit to play the Lions. Who do you got?
Boy, I tell you, this is really interesting because if you'd have told me that Denver would be in playoff contention when they were 1-5, I mean this is an amazing turnaround.
Yeah.
This is like the story bowl. Like both teams, great stories, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Detroit has been terrible for a million years, and They got embarrassed last week,
Mhm.
and it's at Detroit, right?
It's in Detroit.
Yeah, I think Dan Campbell's going to have them ready to go. I'm going Lions on this one.
Okay. I love Dan Campbell. A, he's an Aggie. B, I just like the way he plays. He played for the Cowboys. I just like the way he played, and I love just the fiery. I like him as a coach a lot. Um, but I think they're fading. I think
Yeah, that's my fear.
Jared Goff's kind of becoming who he is. I say let Russ cook. Let's go with the Broncos for me. Dallas Football Cowboys coming off a big win. Head into Buffalo to play the Bills, who just beat the Chiefs. Who do you got?
Yeah, this was probably the toughest one for me. My fear is that we're going to be a letdown with Dallas, and it's in Buffalo. But
Yeah.
it's funny they beat Kansas City, and I'm not a believer in Kansas City or Buffalo right this minute. I don't think either
Right.
of them are playing that good. So it kills me to say this, but I think I'm taking the Cowboys on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills, and I'm going to tell you why. I want the Cowboys to win. I will root for them to win. Um, I think I've just been burned so many times by the Cowboys. A lot of times, as a fan of that team, it feels like fool's gold. You start believing, and then you get your soul crushed. They play so well at home,
Yeah.
and Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his career at an MVP level, which I never thought I'd see.
Yep.
Hall of Fame human being, one of the night from what I can hear and everything, one of the nicest people on the planet, but he struggled in big moments and struggled in big games. I think they're going to struggle outside. I worry about them playing outside the friendly confines of the Death Star down in Arlington. So I'm going to take the Bills, but I'm going to pull for the Cowboys.
Okay.
Last game, the Philadelphia Football Eagles versus the
Fiasco Eagles.
Seattle. No, that's a good name. The Philadelphia Football Eagles versus the Seattle Baseball Mariners. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think that obviously the Eagles have gone through a tough stretch where they've gotten kicked in the face a couple of times. But
Yeah.
it's funny, at some point during this year, we've said, oh, the Niners are great. The Niners suck.
Mhm.
Oh, the Niners are great again. The Cowboys are great. The Cowboys suck. The Cowboys are great again.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been the Eagles are great. The Eagles suck. I have a feeling they're going to bounce back. I go Eagles on this one.
Okay, I'm going to differ on this one. So this is a big turnaround week for whatever. This is probably going to determine the winner of this whole season. I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks in a close one. I think Philadelphia is a better team, but I think Jalen Hurts is not playing well. That defense of Philadelphia's is leaky.
Yeah.
Man, it's leaky. I think Geno Smith will be back for Seattle, so I think it's going to be the Seahawks, as
Okay.
Al Michaels might say. So. He might say that. He might not. I don't know
But
what Al
you
Michaels
know what
would
he'd
say.
say? He would say that the games don't matter anyway. So NCAA
Well,
said so.
you know what, Kirby? The games don't matter, but I'll tell you what does matter. It matters that we have a supplier in the promotional products
Mhm.
industry that really gets it. And we're talking about Evans. We've talked about all the things, and I love their mantra. Kirby loves their mantra. We are Evans, and that means that they are still focused on removing friction, even though they're part of the HPG family company. So we're focused on that, removing that friction. They're focused on open communication internally and externally. It means they have that same exacting approach to merchandising, how merchandising great products that enhance a brand story. And the greatest part is we can all be part of Evans. All we have to do is visit evans-mfg.com and we can all experience that same thing. We are Evans. And also, we are done. Have a great day, everybody.